welcome to the latest episode of First Word in Sports. The other sports edition being recorded on Monday evening. How are you, James? Obviously, it's been a long time since I've spoken to you.
Yeah, good. Avoided the rain this afternoon here in London again. It's a bit of Groundhog Day. Yeah, just caught up a little bit of the end of the Winter Olympics and had some fun watching the cricket this afternoon. Just amusing the Australia versus Sri Lanka, which we'll come on to. But yeah, it's a bit of a flight to Sydney these days, isn't it? From Sri Lanka.
Behave, James, behave. Let's start with golf. It was a pretty interesting weekend's golf. Started on Saturday evening with Live Golf in Australia from Adelaide. It was a final round that shaped up to be something pretty special with Rahm and Bryson head to head. Didn't quite turn out that way. Anthony Kim gate crashed the party and ended up winning comfortably by 3 shots after a final round, 63. Pretty extraordinary stuff. Lots of very favourable comments in his direction given the struggles that he's had in the last 10, 15 years. And just a pretty incredible story, really.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to see how he's come back almost from the dead kind of thing. He was in a bad, dark place. And to come back from that, the injury as well, and the mental health and all of the above. Yeah, fantastic to see him. And he took on the big two live boys. Don't get much bigger in world golf, really, the Bryson and John Rahm. And they both had poor rounds, both shot over par. And he snuck up, won. Fantastic. I hope the celebrations, it was non-alcoholic champagne or non-alcoholic sparkling wine they were pouring over him. But yeah, you saw the fellow golfers coming up to him, all came up to him and all were giving him massive congratulations. There was a genuinely good feel factor there. And the Australian crowd were fantastic by the look to it as well. There was no issues there and it's brilliant.
Honestly, there aren't many, the Australian fans in golf tournaments always come across really well. Obviously, they're passionate, but they're respectful as well. But it just creates a really great atmosphere. And honestly, until golf goes world tour, it has to be a world tour, or it should be a world tour at some stage. I realise it's fragmented at the moment, but it's what you want to see. You want to see the best players in the world play all around the world on the best courses in the world, and Australia plays a huge part in how that world tour should look like.
They've got some unbelievable golf courses down there as well. I said last week, Royal Melbourne is one that they should be using on a regular basis. I'd love to see the PJ, the US PJ go down there. Be fantastic for the sport. Get them all playing. It's a brilliant watch. We don't see enough of it.
But I think, the Anthony Kim story, I've heard a few people say this week it's going to make an incredible film or book or however you want to, slice it up as such. And I just think it was telling to me the credit, and this was before the final round, that Rahm and Bryson were giving him. And I think Rahm was saying that he'd been stuck in a car with him on the way back from course in Riyadh, I think it was, and just he spent a lot of time with him, spent more than an hour in a car with him, and he was talking through some of the stuff that happened, and he just said it's just incredible. And I think when the true story emerges as to where he was, it'll make it even more incredible. I think it's not just this win though. It was losing his card effectively a few weeks ago. Went to qualifying, got the card back. Obviously, he joined a new team, the team that obviously Patrick Reed was part of, so he sort of filled in for him. And just amazing.
Yeah. Didn't Anthony Kim beat Sergio? Tore him apart in the first match of the singles in I can't remember. I think Nick Fowler was the European captain, wasn't he? And it was that Ryder Cup.
Destroyed him.
Yeah, went out there and battered him. Yeah, it's fantastic to see. Brilliant. Wake up on Sunday morning seeing that.
So it was also another good golf tournament at Pebble Beach. It was a mixed week in terms of conditions. It was expected to get a little bit windier than it was in the end. It ended up being a little bit tame weather-wise. Could have been very interesting weather-wise on Sunday. Didn't quite materialise like that. In the end, Morikawa made birdie down 18 to win by 1. Hit a good approach shot from quite a long approach shot. Hit the just off the green, pretty simple up and down, which he did. It looked like Lee could post a pretty competitive number. It just didn't quite happen. I guess the real story, not real story, but the other story was that Scheffler once again, having played himself out the tournament earlier in the week, was slap bang there with 6-7 holes to go. He actually had a couple of quite nasty lip outs down the stretch, which on a different day could have made a real difference. It's just tough to imagine him not winning an awful lot this year.
He shot 63 on Sunday with first time in his PGA career 3 eagles, and he had 3 bogeys. 63 round Pebble in those conditions. Silly golf.
Well, I mean, the best golf for the week, obviously. So what's fascinating is Morikawa in terms of how long it's been since he has won. I mean, he did have an incredible third round where he broke the record in terms of strokes gained, and I don't know if you've seen this. Let me try and find it quickly. But in that round, he had. It was a series. I've got a list of the iron shot, the putts he had left into, obviously for birdies. So he hit all 18 greens in regulation. 7 foot, 17 inches, 4 foot, 19 foot, 21 foot, 11 inches, 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, 26 foot, 8 foot, 33 foot, 13 foot, 17 inches, 15 inches, 33 foot, 13 feet, 11 inches. So we had 5 putts of less than 18 inches. He had another 6 putts of less than 8 feet. So he had 11 putts inside 8 feet. And that's how you get essentially the greatest ball striking round we've seen since the record's been kept on the PGA Tour.
Was he playing Tiger Woods' PlayStation or something?
I mean, they are small greens, okay, which helps a little bit in terms of that proximity. But he obviously hit all 18 greens, right? So, which in itself makes it just absolutely nuts on that golf course. I mean, it's quite an easy golf course off a tee, but they are tiny, tiny targets. So fair play, and it's going to be interesting to see how he sort of goes from here, because he has been in the doldrums. Whether he can kick on again.
Well, he just had the 20-minute delay, didn't he, on 18 as well, when he could have easily shanked one or top one, when he had 20 minutes waiting for the young lad to hit one into the water, come all the way back, almost back past Morikawa, and then he got great up and down, actually, to make a 6th, to not blow a load of money. But then, yeah.
I mean, can we just talk about Scheffler's approach to 18?
Yeah.
Unbelievable shot.
And then you look on the other hand, what was Sam Burns doing on 18?
Being an absolute pussy.
Language now, but yes. Like taking an iron off 18 when he needed an eagle and then making a 5. What are you doing, Sam Burns? Like, do you want to win the tournament or not?
I think he made a 6. Yeah, not good. And honestly, it just sends such a... he doesn't need the money. It just sends the wrong message in terms of, all those sorts of players like your Burns of the world who have tour wins, multiple tour wins, and, money isn't a huge factor. You got to be playing for the win. And if he'd eagled 18, and it was very eagleable, yeah, not a good look for him. Rory obviously had a relatively quiet start to the week. He obviously picked up a little bit towards the end, but never really featured. Obviously, this week we have the Genesis Invitational, where we have Scotty Scheffler as favourite at 4.6. Rory, Schauffele, Fleetwood, Hideki sort of round up the top 5. So it's going to be certainly an interesting tournament. Always an interesting tournament. So I mean, it should be quite a lot of fun to watch.
If Scheffler doesn't have an average first round, you could expect him to lap that field.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing that it's meant to be playing very wet there this week, so it'll be interesting to see quite how that sort of plays out, because that's a course where the rough can be quite sneaky thick. So if it is wet as well, it can be a bit of a brute, because it's a long golf. It's a pretty long golf course, so it can. So obviously we're talking about Riviera. Riviera. So it can play pretty long, that golf course. And what's always interesting is like the par fives aren't that aren't the easiest in terms of being reachable. You always have the one easy. The first hole is always a very easy par five, but beyond that it gets quite tricky. The par fives aren't gimmies in the same way that some golf courses are.
I like the 10th at Riviera. It's a good hole.
It's a fun hole. I mean, it makes them think. I mean, it obviously can be a little bit silly, but I mean, again, if the course conditions are wet, that's probably a slightly less interesting hole.
Yeah.
Because the green just won't be rock solid in the way that it can be. But yeah, it's just a quality golf course. You know all the holes. It's just fun. But you do think it's going to favour some of these elite ball strikers like your Schefflers and Rorys. That's what we've seen over the years. In European Tour, we have the Kenya Open. So back in Africa for the next 3 weeks. Angel Aora is the favourite. I think Duplessis second favourite. It shows you one of the problems European Tour has got is that the best players really are being stripped out of that tour. So with the idea of the 10 players getting PGA Tour cards, things like that, the European Tour really isn't in a great place, in my opinion. Now you're losing just depth year in, year out. And often those players who go to the PGA Tour, they are actually keeping their tour cards and things like that as well. There's a lot of good players, but there's only so many times you can sort of keep taking the very best players and expect high quality, decent fields. I mean, this is it's a pretty dreadful field, and it's not a great advert for the European Tour.
It's garbage field this week.
So yeah, it was a good week of golf. Let's touch on rugby union. Should we bother talking about rugby?
No, let's quickly move on to rugby league. We shall come on to him. Actually, talking rugby league, we'll go on to him now, actually. So you had the Super League obviously started this weekend. You had obviously the upset Thursday night. And then on Friday, you had a couple more games. So you had Dragons beat the Giants, Lee beat Leeds Rhinos, Warrington beat Saints in a really good game Saturday night. Sunday, Hull FC beat Bradford. Wakefield lost at home to Toulouse, and then on Sunday, Castleford lost to Wigan at home. So that's the first round. There's obviously games coming up this weekend, but the big game this week is Thursday night, Hull KR versus Brisbane Broncos, 7:30 UK time. It's live on BBC Three, iPlayer and Sky Sports. But the news out today is Mikey Lewis to stand off for Hull KR. He got sin binned on Thursday night for a naughty trip, deliberate trip. somehow has escaped punishment and will be available if selected on Thursday night for the game against Brisbane. I can imagine some Brisbane fans and players alike are quite mystified why he's available. He got 5 disciplinary points apparently for it when 6 would be a ban. I'll let you decide whether that is appropriate or not, but he's one lucky boy, shall I put it that way. So that's Thursday night. Hull KR play Brisbane in the World Club Championship.
Quick question on that. Is all the Rugby League this year on BBC iPlayer, or is it just...
They have 1 or 2 games during the season. They might have had Wigan played on Sunday. That was live on BBC iPlayer as well. I think they might have 1 game a week that's on, although it's always on Sky Sports. Every game in Super League is always on Sky Sports as well, whether it's Sky Sports Plus, but they always put it on. There's always a Thursday night game as well, and a Friday night game. So if you want your Rugby League, but yeah, going to Rugby Union, let's start with England against Scotland, or Scotland versus England. Scotland also retained or regained the Calcutta Cup. England, another loss in Murrayfield. Yeah, bad performance by England. Scotland were good, don't get me wrong. Let's move on to Scotland first. They were good. They took advantage of England's deficiencies in the first 15, 20 minutes, but Finn Russell pulling the strings. But that game changed on Henry Arundel getting carded. Yellow card. That's very harsh yellow card for what he did the first yellow card. There's no complaints about the second yellow card, but the first yellow card, Scotland player goes into 22 and his hand on the ruck coming from the side. It's an automatic yellow card according to the referee. That's pretty harsh. You see it week in, week out, where they don't give, especially it's the first penalty really of the game, and it's his first offence. It's not, is it deliberate? Probably, but it's harsh to send someone to the bin just for that when you see other things going on regularly that isn't, like penalties being given inside the 5-yard line, 5-metre line, etc., on a regular occurrence, and they go, last warning, then eventually give it. And then that ended up being a 14-point swing. They scored 14 points then he comes back on, obviously, and you can get back in the game, and then Genge gives them a try by the ball was a bit unlucky, didn't fall in it properly, picked up and scored. So another 7 points. That's 21 points they gave him. Then Arundel, obviously, some people have said it's a bit harsh for him. It's not really. He has a duty of care if he's going up there. Never even looked at the player, took him out. Yellow card, red card. So England played 30 minutes of that game with 14 men. But it's 30 minutes of the first 15 minutes of the game where the game's basically won already. So England made too many mistakes. 3 times in the Scottish 22, they knocked on as well at varying times. And then George Ford, who trying to take a drop goal, didn't go further enough back. They scored a try. So England have architected their own downfall, really. And there's a lot of noise saying England, they haven't learned and all this business. They've just won 12 in the trot. There's a lot of reactionary takes. It's fine. It's a one-off game. They'll learn from it. They might have got selection wrong in the back row, but Scotland played well. It's a hard place to go.
You're remarkably positive on the back of, an England defeat. Normally it's doom and gloom. What's wrong with you?
No, I saw England played all right.
Well, have the real James back.
No, I actually think, okay, by the first 15, 20 minutes, and they got blown away, and that was some of it because Arundel got sin-binned and Russell ruthlessly exposed Mitchell out in the wings. Yeah, but England played well. Start the second half, England played well with 14 men. They dominated the scrum, and they just didn't take their chances. And they could have easily taken a chance when Mitchell went through and knocked on in the start of the second half underneath the posts. Scotland kick it 60 metres back down the field. And then George Ford give them another. Once that try scored, the breakaway try, it's game over. But
so one thing I will say is, someone who used to watch a lot more rugby union than I do now, that yellow card for Arundel early on was exactly part of the reason why I've lost some love for rugby union, because there's so many decisions are made by refs that have such a big impact on the game. So I mean, we've talked about this recently, where a yellow card, it used to be that it was worth 7 points when that player's off. You said that's crept up towards 10 now. Obviously, in that game, it ended up being 14. Because one of the problems you have is, you know, they obviously in great position territory-wise as well when he goes off. And obviously they scored straight away, you know, a try straight away. It's just such a disproportionate penalty relative to the offence. And as you say, it wasn't persistent fouling or like foul play. And often some of these things are so subjective. That one may not be. It may not be a case of it being a wrong decision or it being subjective, but it still seems. I don't know. It's just such a it has such a big impact on the game that I just find that. I mean, we talk about football all the time, but I just find referees and the decisions they make. It just does have such a big impact on games, and it doesn't make it particularly enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I did see a take saying if a player's in a sin bin as tries been scored and a conversion, should the player come back on? And that's a punishment, 7 points.
You can make a pretty good case because
Yeah.
so it comes back to a little bit like football, where you used to have that situation where you had a player sent off and you conceded a penalty, and you ended up with like a double whammy almost, where the punishment is greater than if you just let them score, type of thing. And so it's similar to rugby in that if you just let them score and not try to stop them, then it'd be a lesser penalty almost than actually being sin binned. We're getting a yellow card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in that instance, I think a 7-point fine to get the player back. So Harry Handel, his disciplinary hearing has happened tonight. Probably find out tomorrow morning, Tuesday, or when it's how long the ban. He will be out the weekend. He'll probably be dropped anyway. So England got decisions to make. I would like to see Freeman go back to 14 or wing and bring in Lawrence and maybe even Max Ajomo. Fraser Dingwall was bang average on the weekend as well. I'm a Northampton Saints fan, and I think he's a good club player. I'm not sure he's international quality. I think Ajomo's got the potential to be a lot better. And Tom Curry has to start in the back row ahead of Sam Underhill against Ireland in the weekend. And talking of Ireland, they are in, I think, a world of trouble at the moment. They're looking old. Their forward pack was absolutely demolished at times by the Italians at home in Dublin on Saturday afternoon before 2:30 or 10 past 2. They got away with it, Ireland, in the end. Prendergast, again, looks all at sea, has no idea, missed 4 tackles, cost team 2 turnovers, missed 2 easy kicks. And when Jack Crowley came on second half, it looked like he should be the man in possession at Twickenham on Saturday afternoon. Arden, though, wow, it's a great try by the new winger, Robert Balcone. Well, not the new winger, but coming back into fold. But they just look old, slow, and it's going to be a long 18 months to the next World Cup for Ireland, in my view. Italy are improving, though. Fair play to Italy. They look like they've got some kids and some.
I thought there were moments in that game where, you know, they could have done something pretty special in that game. It just didn't quite happen.
Missed opportunity.
Good to see Wales take an absolute pummeling, James.
If this would happen to Italy all those years ago, we're talking about relegation for Georgia, weren't we? Well,
can we bring in Argentina or something instead? I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the noise coming out from Wales saying they took some positives. What positives are you taking from that game when you've just been absolutely spanked by the French? Now, the French are brilliant, but it was men against boys.
they took it easy on them as well. And
Yeah.
so there was one instance late in that game where the Welsh player was retreating. Obviously, it was a pass out to the French backs, and obviously it's hit the Welsh player, given off as deliberate offside, and the ref essentially took pity on the Welsh player by not binning him. And you know, all these things have to be taken into context a little bit in terms of any late points that Wales sort of, or any of the small victories that Wales are claiming from that particular game, because they were awful.
Yeah, they're looking for a defensive coach, and they wanted Sam Warburton, but he quietly patted them back and said, "I'm happy with my media work. Thank you very much." To take away from the French, interesting, they picked two flankers at lock. They're looking for a very mobile back five, trying to get the ball in and out of the ruck. Their ruck speed was impressive again. And when you've got Dupont and Jalibert, who's back in favour, he's back in favour because then Tamak is injured, but Jalibert and Gaucher don't have a love-hate relationship, the coach there and the player. He's just looking sensational. He's playing brilliant rugby at the moment. And the young lad who made his debut at 12, Baru Boye, the 20-year-old kid, where do they keep on finding these lads from? Because he looked like a seasoned international at 20, and you're going, wow, where you come from? I've never seen him play before.
Remember the opposition.
I know, but I know it looks easy when you're playing outside Dupont and Jalibert, but they just a production line. And yeah, good luck Italy on Sunday. That's a 3:10 game on Sunday. And then on the Saturday, you have slightly annoying actually this weekend's fixtures is because England and Ireland's at 2:10 on Saturday from Twickenham, when most people are out still doing family stuff and watching other sports. And then you got Wales versus Scotland at 4:40. Scotland are massively favourites. I think they're 10s on. France are 50-1 on to beat Italy.
So,
and England, Ireland, yeah.
So France are 31-point favourites against Italy. Scotland are 21-point favourites against Wales, and England are 13.5-point favourites against Ireland. You got to fancy England to. I think England have got a pretty good chance of covering that spread, don't you think?
Yeah, as I said, they just didn't play well for the first 15, 20 minutes against Scotland. They're much better than Ireland at the moment. Much, much better. Especially at Twickenham as well. There's an off day. Off days happen. And yeah, England should marmalise that Irish front row. Furlong's not the player he was. Obviously, you've got Dan Sheehan's a top-class hooker, but Joe Hayes should absolutely marmalise whoever's playing loosehead for Ireland this week. It's a pity that Prendergast probably won't play. Although you see Andy Farrell's comments this week, or last couple of days, he was saying that Prendergast, all the keyboard warriors and things like this. Well, proof is in the pudding, Mr. Farrell, when everyone just knows where your weak point is in your team and they're going to hammer home with it. We talk about it. International sport, you find the weak point of the opposition and you double down on it and you go straight at it time and time and time again.
The problem is all the footage is there. All the stats are there. All the data's there. You can watch all the video you want and you prepare for it. And the reality is there's just no hiding place.
Yeah, I would fancy England. Yeah, I'd like to beat them. The only concern would be the weather. It'd probably be raining in London. Been raining.
It's meant to be great this weekend.
What a surprise! So that's the only concern is covering those handicaps is weather kind of thing. But yeah.
But the only thing I would say about weather, so the pitch isn't going to be like the one in Italy
No.
last weekend, or a couple of weekends ago. You know, Twickenham, or however you want to describe it, is always immaculate in terms of conditions. Yes, it might be a little bit windy, it might be a little bit blustery, but the underfoot conditions should still be really good.
Yeah, it's just the ball handling, isn't it? How wet it is and things like that. But yeah, I would expect England to bounce back. I would like to say I'd see Lawrence and Curry back in the starting 15, just to add a little bit more, especially Curry, a little bit more nastiness, a little bit more hard edge and ruffle a few feathers, and Lawrence just to get over that gain line and help forward out.
Anything else with regard to rugby?
No. Oh, sorry, Super Rugby has started in Down Under, so that's coming up to. They just had their first week just finished, and their second week start is starting on Friday mornings. They play here in the UK.
So let's move on to cricket. A somewhat pleasing afternoon, James. Australia got thumped by Sri Lanka, and it does have big consequences. So Australia batted first, got 180 odd, and Sri Lanka chased it down pretty comfortably. And Nissanka got the first ton of the tournament, and it was a brilliant innings, I have to say. It was absolute quality, and the touch and control. It wasn't just a case of brutal hitting. It was just a brilliant, brilliant innings, and it was just fun to watch. I mean, obviously, it makes it even more fun that it was against the Aussies, but absolute quality innings.
Those 2 shots he played in the 18th over when he hit them for 6 was just some of the best shots you're ever going to see.
It was sort of a cut over point for 6, and then a flick over sort of deep fine leg for 6, and he's hardly touched it. He's just used the pace off the bowler. As I say, he's not a big lad, but the timing was just brilliant, and it's not what cricket should be, but when you see it, there's something so graceful about it.
Yeah, it was penny for Steve Smith's thoughts as well. Fly all the way over to Sri Lanka, and then be brought into a squad to replace Hazelwood. Who knew that was the right call? And then you don't pick him either. I mean, what are you doing? And then there are 104 for 1 after 8.3 overs today, and then you make 180.
They couldn't play the spinners, James. The problem for Australia is, they're in a whole world of trouble now in terms of just making the next stage of this tournament. So if the big game now is Ireland Zimbabwe tomorrow morning at 9:30, a win for Zimbabwe, and they're 1.69 shots, and Australia are gone.
Will they turn up for their last game against Oman on Thursday?
I think these players will turn up for that. Pad some, stat pad. You'll probably get Steve Smith 100.
Yeah, so suddenly that game's much more interesting, isn't it? Zimbabwe Ireland tomorrow at 9:30. Even if Zimbabwe lose, they still have a chance. They still play Sri Lanka on Thursday as well, and they'll probably be done on Monday. They'll probably have to beat. They might have to beat Sri Lanka actually, but Sri Lanka might say, "Hang on a minute here, we can't fancy team the back of Australia." Even so, we're on the other side of the draw. Sri Lanka stayed in Sri Lanka, I see. They will probably think, we'll get rid of Australia. They're a danger in this tournament. They could be a danger. I don't think they will be, but they could be. So, yeah, I think they'll be looking for their flight home to Sydney on Friday, the Australians, with tail between their legs.
Obviously, it's not been brilliant stuff by England. It's just been a struggle pretty much the whole tournament. Obviously, they beat Italy in the end by 24 runs. It was disastrous start for England, or it was just ugly for England. And in the end, they did obviously well to even get up to 202. Jacks again scored some very useful runs down the order. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really poor from England. I think you were telling me earlier, obviously, that Brooke he's won all 4 tosses as well in this tournament.
Yeah, that's big. Sultan and Butler have got 114 runs between them in 8 innings. It's quite ridiculous. And
that's massive, because we see in this tournament is, whether you're batting first or you're breaking a chase, breaking the back of a chase, you need your openers against, the new ball to get you off to an absolute flyer on these pitches.
They're not doing it. And the England batsmen aren't taking responsibility. They're getting in and looking very nice 20 and 30s, and then getting out to soft dismissals again like today.
Where have we heard that before?
For most of our lifetime watching English cricket, to be fair. But yeah, again, I still can't believe Duckett can't get in that side. Left-hander, sweeps, reverse sweeps, especially later in the tournament. But now it's very hard for him to come back in, if he did come back in, sitting on the sideline for the best part of 2.5 weeks, ferrying drinks, for him to come back in and start whacking it round the park again. They go to, now they have been playing their 4 games in India. They now go to Sri Lanka to play in the Super 8s, where they're likely to play Pakistan, New Zealand and Sri Lanka in their group. So they are confirmed of playing Sri Lanka on Sunday the 22nd in Kandy in the morning at 9:30. And then they play the 24th and 27th. They have to buck their ideas up, England. Because at the moment, opposition are taking Adil Rashid for 40, 45, and an over. They're doing the same to Jofra Archer as well. And at the moment, England relying a bit on Sam Curran, who's, we know what he's like, can bowl brilliantly or can go around the park, and Jamie Overton's holding up the other end. So their 2 gun bowlers, England, Jofra Archer and Adil Rashid, have been taken down by the mighty Scotland, the mighty Italy and the mighty Nepal. That's a bit of a worry as well.
Archer's interesting because you can see very early on in this tournament he's struggling for just control. He just isn't. He just doesn't have that control, and it's just too many balls that are getting hit out the park. You know, it's such a short format. It doesn't take a huge amount, particularly at the pace he's bowling. You know, for you to get very expensive very quickly. And England, if they're going to have any success in this tournament, they need him to be not just a good bowler, they need him to be a great bowler. He has to be one of England's standout performers.
Yeah, he's just going at 10, 11 and over, and it's just way too much. Especially when he's a player that you think, come on, Jofra, kind of thing.
So, obviously we had India, Pakistan. It took place. Very comfortable win for India. They are going to take some beating.
Yeah. Even without Sharma, who's got another duck, got a 4-ball duck, tried to whack those first 3 balls, just tried to smash it through the covers, even on not even taking a look. And then he tried to hit the 4th ball, got frustrated and clobbed it to mid-on, didn't he? To mid-on, yeah. But Ishan Kishan...
I like that as a new word. Clobbered.
Yeah, just bat properly. But Kishan at top of the order has been hardly impressive. He's batting really well. Another left-hander. They're just going to be very hard to beat. They know the conditions. They go back now to play in India as well. So they have to play Pakistan again with all that nonsense and all. That game's become far too political for both teams.
I think if nothing else, they just don't have the obvious weaknesses that other teams do. I don't think the chasing pack is the opposition to them is great. You know, if you looked at the market before the start of the tournament, it was England, Australia, South Africa. You know, England and Australia were pretty much out. England looked dreadful. South Africa actually had a really good win against New Zealand, where they chased 175 very easily. Again, helped that Markram went nuts, and he basically broke the back of that chase. You know, himself. It was just another really good innings.
He could do that. He is a talented player. He just doesn't do it as consistently enough as he should do. His talent warrants him doing that more often than not. But when he plays like that, any ball's getting hit. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're bowling it. He's midding that bat and it's going and it's staying hit. Yeah, can be a very useful cricketer. They've got some big power hitters. Obviously, De Kock as well at top of the order hasn't really fired yet. If he does, yeah. But India have just got left armers, right arm quicks, left arm spin, right arm spin, batsmen. It's just they're gonna. I know it's a one-off game, and as you talked about it last week, 2020 cricket, you can have every dog has their day, and in a final or a semi-final, you could have one player go absolutely bananas. Say they played South Africa in the semi-finals, and the cock goes and slaps 100 off 40 balls. Markram does some, and then suddenly you're chasing 230, 240. And it's a long way. So
it's what England needs. You know, it needs a Butler to go and score 100. You know, or something similar. And England do have the players, but it just doesn't look or feel very likely. Not particularly interesting games coming up in the next. Obviously, apart from the island Zimbabwe, you've got like Scotland, Nepal, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa, UAE, Pakistan, Namibia, India, Netherlands, West Indies, Italy. I mean, this isn't a great advert for the tournament. These fixtures coming up: Afghanistan, Canada, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, Australia, Oman. I mean, as you know, the island Zimbabwe is only interesting because of what Australia have been doing.
Yeah, so there's no games. So the Super 8 start on Saturday, the 21st of February. So that's when they'll get the fun really starts and games actually mean something. When you lose a game, you got to win. You got to come top. There'll be 2 groups of 4. The top 2 will obviously qualify for the semi-final. That's how that works.
So I guess the other things that people need to sort of look out for is things like that Patharana today for Sri Lanka. You can see when he was bowling, he did his hamstring. He won't play again in this tournament, I wouldn't have thought. He's an important bowler for them. Weakens Sri Lanka. And there's a big aspect of making sure you're hoping that you don't lose players to injuries like that. Just get through these group stages without any damage.
Yeah, keeping players fit is a big thing. It's a long tournament and a lot of travelling.
So one other thing that has happened was Rashid 700 T20 wickets.
Yeah, Rashid Khan, the 27-year-old. He's only 27. So that was his 191st in international T20 cricket. And what was unique about his 700th wicket today? Any ideas, Luke?
You tell me, James. I do know because you told me earlier.
Yeah,
I'm spoiled the surprise.
It was the first time he had taken wicket in international cricket by hit wicket today. His 700s today, hit wicket. Yeah, fair play to Rashid. On another spinner, did you see the Pakistan spinner Tariq and his bowling style on Sunday against India? It's something to behold.
No.
Something to behold. He has about 4 or 5 different ways of bowling, different arm actions. He kind of comes up to the wicket, stops almost, which he's not allowed to. Then he bowls it. He's got all these fancy things.
So
There's a caveat.
like that South African bowler. Oh my god, can you remember the spinner?
Paul Harris.
Was it Paul Harris?
No, it wasn't Paul Harris.
Maybe
That's
Paul Harris.
completely wrong. I know who you mean. No, he was a left arm spinner.
Yeah.
He is a. I'll come on to that. We'll find him in a minute. He's a right arm spinner. The caveat is he has been banned this Terry twice in the last couple of years for throwing. His action looks very suspect. But the first time you look at it as a fan and as a batsman, first time I've seen it, was like, wow, that could be one of those bowlers that takes a bucket load of wickets before people realise how to play him, kind of thing. And yeah, there was a few Indian players who'd seen him obviously play. It'd be interesting to see how the likes of England and New Zealand, who haven't seen a lot of him, play him in the Super 8s.
Certainly something to look out for. Anything else with cricket? I guess not
No,
much. Apart from Australia, not much is going to happen now between now and the group stages. It's just going to be a quiet few days, relatively.
yeah,
We had Premier League action in the darts from Antwerp last. We touched on this. So obviously, Gerwin Price beat Van Gerwen in the final. Obviously, earlier on we had Littler beating Humphreys. Obviously, a very high standard quarter final. What it all sets up for is week 3 in Glasgow this Thursday night. We have Bunting, Van Veen, Humphreys against Rock, Van Gerwen, Littler, and Clayton Price. Obviously, the Van Gerwen Littler is the standout match. Van Gerwen's obviously been in has been in really good form in recent weeks, and Littler hasn't really got going yet in the Premier League. He won't be worried about making the latter stages. but there are some benefits. You know, if Humphreys finishes in the top two, Littler will want to avoid him by finishing the top two himself. I think what you'll find with Littler is he'll run off 3 or 4 weeks in a row, which he wins, but he hasn't really got started yet in this campaign.
Yeah, he's just turning over, really, isn't he? He's probably had a bit of a holiday. He's not practicing as much, and just like he knows he's got talent and ability. It's a long slog. It's 17 weeks, so as long as you're in the top two, really, he's not really concerned about it, and he knows he's better than the rest of them anyway. So
boxing, I see Tyson Fury talking quite a lot today about his fight at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in April against Mahmudov. Just the usual Fury nonsense.
yeah, to be fair, he made a good comment about Anthony Joshua, paid his respect to his friends. Yeah, just the usual Fury talking gibberish. Obviously, I wouldn't ever say that to his face, obviously, but he's back on. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, that's on Netflix. That fight, that'll be fun.
I do find boxing gets a little bit tiring at times in terms of, you know, how many times Fury's retired and has come back to save the sport and blah blah blah. It does get tiring. I don't think it adds at this point. Doesn't really add anything to the for the sport. Obviously, Fury has a fight to sell, and he thinks that's the best way to sell a fight. But I don't know. I just don't really get it.
Yeah, there's noise, isn't it? It's just trying to sell to. He'll sell the 60,000, I'd imagine, at Tottenham, depending on what the undercard is. But yeah.
So there is some boxing this weekend, which looks pretty decent. You've got Warrington fights on Saturday evening.
Yeah, against Leewood. Those two don't like each other one iota, and they're both at the end of their careers. We know what Josh Warrington will bring to the party on Saturday night. I'd imagine on the zone, I think that fight is. He'll come in and he'll do his usual tactics. I don't like Josh Warrington's tactics. A lot of head bobbing, a lot of naughtiness with the head. Hopefully, it doesn't cause a cut to Leewood or vice versa. Hopefully, it's a clean fight. Warrington will try and make it not a clean fight. They're both at the end of their careers. It'll be a slugfest, and it could end early. I don't know who, but it will be a slugfest on Saturday night. Worth a watch anyway.
And there's a few other. I see Ryan Garcia's fighting as well.
Yeah, in the early hours of Sunday morning from America against Mario Barrios on. Yeah, so whatever time that is, probably 10 o'clock Eastern time in America. So yeah.
So
tough fight.
Leewood is favourite for that fight. He's 1.7 shot. Racing, James. Took me through horse racing this week.
Yes, he had one good race at the weekend. Well, there's a couple of Grand National trials across here and across the RSC. But the big race was Ascot, the Betfair Ascot Chase, and John Bon, over an extended distance for him beat Pic Dory in a great race. Pic Dory under Harry Cobden started a march with Nico de Boinville on John Bon, but John Bon eventually got back up in a great race there. So John Bon's 12th graded race win, which is fantastic for John Bon and Henderson. The big news this week is obviously, will Constitutional Hill make his flat debut at Southall on Friday night? So obviously he's running a 1 mile 4 race. I don't know why. I really don't know why. What he trying to, I don't know why he's trying to do it. Anyway, it's worth £40,000 flat race, the most valuable flat race on all weather here in the United Kingdom. So all the trainers have decided to chuck their horses in, from the flat guys to the jumps guys. Mullins is sending over Daddy Longlegs. So, but there was some noise on Sunday when declarations came out that it was only going to be a maximum field of 12, and Constitutional Hill wasn't basically going to be in the race. So
Nice.
there's been a lot of noise. And surprise, surprise, today they've increased the number of runners from 12 to 14 available. And a couple of the horses won't be running. So it looks like Constitutional Hill will be running under Oisin Murphy on Friday evening at 7:30 from Southall. It's live on ITV4. They always do ITV4 doing racing now on a Friday night. It's replaced the Racing League. Obviously on that the races as well. It'll be good for the sport in terms of drumming up interest, but really should Constitutional Hill be running in a flat race on the all weather?
No, but the problem with it is you're not getting eyeballs on the sport for the right reasons.
Correct.
You're not watching Constitution Hill, you know, at the peak. You know, like you're getting it. It's just Mickey. It's just racing such a poorly run sport. Nothing really surprises me. That this has come about isn't a surprise.
Would you be backing him at 4 to 6?
On the flat, no.
I wouldn't be backing him at 4.
I guess at least it hasn't got a fence to fall over.
True, but it might not get out of the stalls. It might not get out of the stalls. Like it's a big horse as well, like kind of thing. It's not like a whippet 1 mile 4 race, is it? Anyway, I don't.
I guess my concern would be is that if you were to oppose him, is the sport wants Constitution Hill to have a positive story. You know, I'm always a little bit skeptical about some of these things. Is they're desperate for feel-good stories? Can they reinvigorate the Constitution Hill story? Because there aren't that many great stories in racing at the moment. And
Yeah, that's one. That would be my one concern about it. I just can't wait for him to turn up at Cheltenham in the Champion Hurdle, and he's third favourite. You could lay him all day long in my book. Just falling out of love with the game. It's just jumping. He'll see a fence. He'll see a hurdle, and he'll just do something like he does stupidly again. He just won't get his legs up, or when his legs do come up, he'll go down straight away again. He'll get nervous about jumping. He's old. Just retire him, please. Don't until something badly goes wrong.
Is this the same bookmaker who's taking your John Bond bets? Yeah.
Yeah, he ran in a poor Grade 1 race against Pick Dory. Whoopie doo does. Let's see him at Cheltenham where he's got no record there. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. At Cheltenham. So Cheltenham starts 3 weeks tomorrow, Tuesday, yeah. And still no going description from Cheltenham. Only 3 weeks to go, lads, in your own time.
It's probably because it's underwater, James, like the rest of the UK. I mean, there's only so many ways you can say, you know, underwater in, you know, puddles.
They need to change that growing description in the UK. It needs to be done on a basis of 1 to 10 and just make it ready available all the time. There's no excuse why there isn't a going stick reading every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning between 1 being hard and 10 being heavy.
I'm sure you've seen Tony Calvin's rants about going sticks and the lack of sort of consistency with regard to it. I mean, he does, you know, make a very good point. It's just a very Mickey Mouse aspect of the sport. And obviously, you had that clerk of the course who got suspended. I don't know if he got suspended or sacked in the end for just making up going readings. Says everything about the sport, really.
No further comment.
Obviously, Formula One testing continues. The noises coming out regarding Formula One this season are not good. It seems a lot of pretty unhappy people.
Seems like they've got the rules and configurations of cars completely and utterly wrong. And yeah, I don't think the noises from the drivers, Verstappen and Hamilton said on Friday, and then obviously Norris decided to say, or stir it up and say, well, I like driving this kind of way. Of course he's going to say that, but yeah, I bet they don't. Yeah, so they're testing again Wednesday to Friday in Bahrain again. You just don't know what they're doing. You don't know how much fuel, etc., is in the cars. It's just more of a reliability question for them at the moment, for drivers and the teams.
The problem the sport has is when you go down this route, is obviously these changes were, you know, planned multiple years ago. It's not a new change. it's very difficult to make significant changes back. This isn't something which you can just flick a switch overnight and change. If it is disastrous, it has quite big sort of knock-on consequences to the sport and its watchability, and certainly the next couple of years.
Yeah, and Liberty have done a great job in improving it and getting obviously the American people into the sport and bringing that out. And when you watch a race, which I don't really watch a lot of it anymore, but all these things on the stats and everything you can look at, you can watch it from inside the cars wherever you want to. So much better for fan experience. But all the noises seem to have gone completely the wrong way, wrong direction, and it's turning people off, turning drivers off. Until Max wins his fifth, and he'll be back and happy with the sport again.
Well, you could find a weird situation where, with the changes that happen, Max loses 3 or 4 peak years because the cars aren't, reliant on not the best drivers, but you get these weird situations with Formula One where it's not always obviously the best driver who is successful, and you could easily see Max have 3 or 4 years in the doldrums, or I guess he could go and win. He just needs a competitive car.
Yeah, you mentioned actually a couple of weeks ago. So George Russell's still favourite for the title, but 2-1 probably the bookmakers. If he's there, why is Antonelli 10, 12-1?
I mean, George Russell hasn't shown that much. Obviously, he's had some success, but he's not been. I would say Antonelli had a very highly regarded as a youngster.
Yeah, and the back end of last season, Antonelli was driving just as well as George Russell. And
I always think with Formula One now is obviously the new car setup slightly different, but given how much time these kids spend in simulators and things like that, it's not quite the same driving skills as it was 30 years ago. It's a very different sort of skill set. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that a youngish kid could, have huge success.
yeah, I agree with you, I think. Yeah, if you're looking at that then.
Because they also have things like, it used to be a situation where knowing the track and all the lines and everything was hugely important when we were sort of growing up watching it. Everything's done in simulators now, so they know exactly where they should be putting the car on on every corner.
Yeah, they've driven it thousands and thousands of laps in simulators, yeah.
In terms of NBA, quite interesting this week. Chris Paul, who has been around forever. I remember him most when he was at LA Clippers. He has announced his retirement. The last few years have been a bit of a struggle injury-wise. And we had the All-Star game. They tried a different format for the All-Star game. I did catch a little bit of it last night, but it wasn't. It's just what it is. It's nothing particularly exciting to watch. Anthony Edwards turned it on, but yeah, I mean the All-Star format. I mean, obviously they've tried something different with the shorter format games. Remains to be seen whether you would deem it a success. Baseball back into spring training, so it won't be too long before that all kicks off.
25th of March, that is Yankees at San Fran, live on Netflix. So yeah, only another month till, or 6 weeks probably until that.
And then NFL, you're seeing a little bit of fallout from Super Bowl, but I guess the big news really this week has been Tyreek Hill has been released by the Dolphins. They also released Chubb, and it looks like they're intent on trying to sort out their salary cap issues, which is, obviously got a new coach in with next year as well. So a bit of a reset for Miami.
Would they keep Tua? Tua, sorry, not Tua.
Not if they can help it. The problem is they gave him a monstrous contract. but not just that. When he has played, he's been dreadful. So if they could find someone to take that contract, they would snap their hands off. It doesn't feel very likely. It's difficult to plan ahead with a contract like that with a player who has his injury history. It feels like he's only one concussion away from being out of the sport. In the same way, Chris Olave at the Saints, you can't have so many you can't keep having concussion, and stay in the sport. You're just doing too much damage to yourself. So I don't think they're going to have much choice but to play Tua, as I just can't imagine a scenario where they get rid of that contract. If they can somehow get rid of that contract, it would set them up nicely, sort of going forward. But they'll have to eat a lot of that contract if nothing else. But that's all we'll see in the next few weeks, is just a few teams shedding contracts and things like that.
Until the draft starts, yeah.
And then we have Winter Olympics. GB can't stop winning gold medals, James.
First time they've won 2 gold medals yesterday, Sunday, in a day. Brilliant.
So Western obviously got another gold. Obviously it helps when you have someone who's good enough to win 2 golds. It does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and unfortunately, Kirsty Muir finished 4th today in the evening in the big air final after falling. That was quite impressive this evening for 20 minutes, kind of watching them.
But
yeah, crazy. And have you seen the curling controversy with Canada cheating, not just the men's, but the women's? How long has that been going on for?
It is vaguely amusing because I've got friends in Canada who love their winter sports, particularly ice hockey more so. But we have been talking about the curling. It's wasn't remiss of me to be, same old Canada, always cheating, those sorts of things. But it's just I can't believe it's not picked up. But it is what it is.
And then tried to defend themselves, and it was clear as daylight on the video recording, on the video replay. So yeah, I mean, don't try and defend yourself when it's clear as day that he did push it again. Yeah, so
it's what we have to resort to, James, talking about curling controversies.
Yeah, but there has been a few with it going on. Or see the ski jumping. So the Austrian 2025 world champion I saw got disqualified for having the wrong shoes on by 4 milliliters. And then in the women's ski jumping, Annika Belshaw, she had the wrong shoes on, her training shoes, and she kept them on, was disqualified for being too big as well. So they're looking at every single way of gaining an advantage.
It is interesting, in terms of the aerodynamics of those sports, in terms of, I suspect that there's a lot of computer aided work, should we say, in terms of aerodynamics as to what works and what doesn't. And as you say, everyone's pushing the boat, and very dubious.
Yeah, it's going a bit like cycling, hasn't it? And all those trying to your marginal gains and Dave Brailsford and Sky and your what type of bikes and what type of equipment you're using, etc.
I have to be careful what I say, James. I'm not sure they were the marginal gains, were they?
No, not the real marginal gains, but they did use certain things on bikes as well.
Sounds good though. This massive improvement in performance was because of marginal
gains. I'm sure there'll be more fallout from that. On cycling, actually.
Egg for breakfast, yeah.
Yeah. On cycling, I did see over the weekend some noise that Vingegaard might not be in the Tour de France. Will be a shame, not riding against Pogacar, which will be unfortunately just a procession if he doesn't turn up for Pogacar in the Tour de France later this year. But there you go.
Anything else? I think we're done, aren't we?
We're done. I'm just looking forward to 9:30 on Tuesday morning, cheering on Zimbabwe against Ireland. Come on, Zimbabwe. I'm sure my Zimbabwe colleagues at work will be tuning in, and my Irish friends will be tuning in, probably cheering on Zimbabwe to knock a certain country out of the Cricket World Cup at the first hurdle, which will be a change, unlike watching England get knocked out at the first available opportunity.
I mean, that's the beauty of sport. You know, all these countries have had their absolute horror moments in these tournaments, and it's where sport's also quite humbling. So after you've just given England a proper spanking in the Ashes, you roll up to the T20 World Cup. Obviously, different format, but and you get embarrassed. So let's hope Zimbabwe finish the job.
Absolutely, it'd be good to see. So 9:30 tomorrow, Tuesday morning, be finished by 12:30. We can all celebrate how far it is back to Sydney Airport from Sri Lanka.
You're gonna love it when they win the tournament, James.
Yeah. With Steve Smith scoring the winning runs, yeah.
We'll catch up with a football podcast later in the week.
Yeah. Enjoy the sport. See you later. Bye-bye.